2 letters, 3 consecutive triple doubles, 1 word, MVP, Alyssa frickin' Thomas. Heck is up, Phoenix Mercury family. Thanks for joining our show on this fine Friday morning, live from downtown Phoenix. I'm Eric Lee Day, the host of Phoenix Mercury. I'm joined by PG1, QB1, on and off the field, in and out of the studio. Stephen Pridgeon-Garner, how the heck are you doing today?
How is Alyssa Thomas doing? I think matters more than how I'm doing, because that's the MVP.
My girl got to be tired.
That's the MVP. I don't even think she's tired, because this is just this is run of the mill. You had people asking her, like, how does it feel? Does she ever impress herself? No, not really. And it's not even like an arrogance. There's a confidence, but this is genuinely like just who she is. She knows what her greatness is. She's been doing this for 20 some odd years now at this level. It's just running the mill at this point. And it's about time other people are starting to acknowledge it in the light that it should. So
she was borderline casual with it yesterday, and even in the post game, and we've got some clips and we'll get into them here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, let's just start off with that. Alyssa Thomas. I mean, the performances that she's been having over those last 3 games, obviously, but then Steven's going to get into since the All-Star break as well. Alyssa Thomas has been playing like the best player in the league since the beginning of the season, but specifically since the All-Star break has been absolutely lights out. And she's, above all else, made the difference in winning games for the Phoenix Mercury. And in the last 3 games, the Phoenix Mercury have held their opponents to less than 70 points, which is less than the average for all 3 teams, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, we've talked about it on the show religiously at this point. The defense runs through Alyssa Thomas. So if the team is holding them to less than 70 points, Alyssa Thomas is very much so doing her job and making sure everyone else is doing their job. And so I think, the MVP, yeah, it's going to come down to stats and, to be blunt with you, probably some stat sheet watchers, but at the end of the day, like, Alyssa Thomas is playing like the best player in the league right now and has been since the beginning of the season, and it's about freaking time she gets the attention she deserves.
I think the translation gets lost when some people mention engine. She's literally that on offense and defense and in leadership and at practice and by all accounts in the film room. She drives everything that her teams do, and it's not by being like a control freak. It's just by natural roles being carved out on every team that she's been a part of. People lean into her for all types of things, and she always has the adequate and apt response for what her team needs from herself, but also in messaging that's sent to others. I can't even note how many times we've heard, yeah, Alyssa told me this, or yeah, at a practice, Alyssa told me that, and it infused confidence in players in ways in which have resulted in this team having players punching out of their deemed weight class in terms of their roles in ways that have had this team playing at the 4th best rate so far this season in terms of records. So the engine in multiple respects, the MVP in multiple respects, defensive player of the year as well, by my eye too. She just understands what it is her teams need from her and what she needs to do to get the most out of others. And that can't be lost when you're talking about a team that most people did not have, definitely not top 4, but most people didn't have or barely had making the actual playoffs. For them to be in 4th place with a little over 70% of the schedule completed at this point, like, what else is there really to talk about on the MVP front? The value is there. When she's on the court, 2nd best offense rate in the league, still one of the best defenses when she's in the league, and I don't think anybody would scoff at if you said she was the anchor, because everything kind of facilitates through her on that front. She is that.
Well, and right now the squad's tied for third in the standings with Atlanta, who they obviously are losing the tiebreaker to right now, which definitely hurts. But I think, positionally speaking, like this team's in a great spot, and all of that is in part due to Alyssa Thomas and what she's been able to do. And like to your main points here, like her being able to put this confidence in Mac and Monique and all these other people that are around her speaks volumes to the leadership that she's brought to the locker room. And in just her first season here in Phoenix, I just think it to your point, like it just goes underspoken about it's not just what she's doing in terms of her statistics, but it's what she's able to get other people to do. And I had a tweet about stat pad allegations last night, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is that for Alyssa Thomas to be able to get a triple-double, everyone on the team has to do their part. DeWanna Bonner has to hit her shots. Kalia Copper has to hit her shots. To be honest with you, like, everyone's got to box out in order for Alyssa Thomas to even get those rebounds. Like the spacing has to be what it is for Alyssa Thomas to be able to put up 18 points. Like, it is beyond just Alyssa Thomas. And so I guess I get exhausted of these stat pad allegations just because, first of all, everybody in the league does this. It's not just the Mercury. It's not a one-off situation where, it's just this game. No, like everybody in the league stat pads to get their MVP candidates to where they should be in the MVP conversation. And so, Alyssa Thomas said it last night, like she thanked her teammates and her coaching staff for putting her in the position to get this third consecutive triple-double. And so if you think that it was just like, I'm going to go out tonight and I'm going to seek out a triple-double, you're absolutely crazy. It was there for the taking. And so she went and took it. And I think that that's extremely fair for her to do.
Even went as far as seeing people say that if you're giving someone X amount of minutes past a blowout point, that it's easy to get a triple-double.
Well, except for the fact that fatigue, exhaustion, Nate Tibbett spoke about the 8-man rotation last night that he's trying to get down to. The reality is there's 14 games left in the season. They can't put in, and again, if you watch the show, this is no slight to Lexi Held, because it's just the name I'm going to use as an example in this particular scenario. But you cannot put in Lexi Held for 18 minutes of this game and expect for the next game to be just as good, because on Sunday they have to take on Atlanta, who they've had extreme difficulties in dealing with all season. And so I would much prefer the starters to get maximum amount of minutes. Obviously, you got to watch injury. You have to make sure the fatigue stays in check. But at the same time, like if you're trying to get back to the 8-man rotation to get ready for the playoffs, then that's what you have to do regardless of who your opponent is. And that's something that the Mercury has stayed true to all season, is doing things for them and not playing to their opponents. And so I think the stat pad allegations kind of go back to that for me.
It's not a stat padding, because the team needs her in all of those capacities that she operates in. It's not her taking the reins of things. It's the way that the team was built. This team can't be their best if Alyssa Thomas isn't doing the things that she's doing right now. I don't know why people always talk about the game differently when it comes to Alyssa, as if she's like operating in some unique space as far as what she's being allowed to do. Like, she had a lot of the stuff she's getting is out the mud in the proverbial sense, but in the literal sense too. She's getting the attention that she's getting for the MVP race out the mud because she's been playing at this level for 5 years now. Yep. And people are just now coming around to deciding to actually acknowledge it. And by people, I mean people that have some clout regarding voting and who ultimately receives end of the season awards and things like that. We've referenced the clip where Alyssa is speaking maybe a year or two ago about being used to being looked over, in a sense, in multiple respects as far as accolades go and things like that. There's a stubbornness that comes with being great, and there's a next level of stubbornness that comes with being great when you know you're that, but others aren't acknowledging it to the extent that they should be. Now, obviously, that part is out of her control. All she can do is maintain at that level, which she has, to the tune of multiple high-level accolades that she has garnered over the last few years. But Kevo, if we could go ahead and get the post All-Star break stat graphic up for Alyssa, because what she's doing, no one else is doing, and no one else is doing even close to the level that she is. Obviously, you want to start first and foremost with 3 straight triple doubles, only outdoing herself. and only outdoing herself 3 times over from the multiple times that she had back-to-back triple-doubles. No one does that. No one does these things. She's I think she's top 7 or top 8 in points per game post All-Star break, but she's leading for players that play more than 2 games post All-Star break in both rebounds and assists. And it's really not close in either of those 2 fronts. So you can say stat pad and this, that, and the third, but if you're actually watching the games, the ways in which she comes about compiling the stats that she does comes very much in the flow of the game. It's not them going off script where someone's boxing out so that she can go get the rebound. No, it's her doing the work to go get the rebound. I can't tell you how many times in these last 3 games alone, there's a loose ball and she's simply just the first to get to it, whether she's boxing someone out, whether she's coming from the other side of the court to chase down a rebound that's 50-50, but looks like it's 100-0 because of those multiple efforts and the kind of force that she plays with. This is an all-time great. However you want to splice it up, however you want to kind of swing the narrative, you can't take away the all-time great level of play and the ways that her teams respond to the level of play that she exudes by also raising their level of play individually, making for teams that have finished no less than the second round in the playoffs for each of the last 4 or 5 years. Not much else you can say about that. MVP this year.
Well, and I want to get this video off of AT talking about this performance from her because, to your point, like, it's just what she does. And she's kind of sure to let everybody know of that. So here's this clip of AT.
I mean, I'm just doing me. This is what I've done my whole entire career. You know, super grateful for my teammates tonight and allowing me to go after that. But yeah, I'm just super happy to be here, super grateful for all the support, the fan base, and we're just going to continue to do us.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been saying, like, it's just what she does. She's casual with it. She doesn't expect too many flowers, but she does expect the respect to be put on her name, and that's exactly what's happening right now in front of real time. And I saw everybody talking about it last night. Like, the Mercury crowd showed up and showed out for her, and it's absolutely what she has been deserving of as the – and I'm going to say, I saw some people talking about how the media needs to be careful about what words they're using to describe Alyssa Thomas. So I'm going to say it. Superstar that Alyssa Thomas is, rightfully so, and Phoenix is treating her like that.
Yeah, I think from my interactions with Alyssa, she very much strikes me as the person that's cut from the cloth of valuing respect over attention, because again, the latter part you don't have much control over, but the respect part you certainly have a lot of control over, and that's the day-to-day habits that help to build a blue-collar culture that results in a sustained level of elite winning across multiple years. The things that she can control, she's controlled as much as possible. I mean, the last 3-4 weeks, we've seen her, as defenses try to shift to guarding her in unique ways, we've seen her start taking mid-range shots around the free throw line or just inside of it, and she's knocking those down at an efficient clip at a rate that we haven't really seen her shoot the ball in a literal shooting sense since what, college, high school? And obviously the injury history is the reason behind that, but this is a player that's been great at doing what she's always done. She could be stubborn and say, no, what I've been doing has been great enough for me to be in MVP conversations. Instead, how can I find other ways to continue to add value to my team and also raise my level of play in the ways that my team needs me to put us in the best position to be the best version of us? Little moments like that. Yesterday, talk about matchups. Talk about her being one of the all-time greats on defense. One of, if not the most versatile individual defender to ever touch the hardwood, but especially on the women's side. She's guarding the point guard, Ari McDonald, throwing in the Mercury side in that first game.
Surely was at the
She comes out immediately to start the game, and she's guarding the point guard. Now, if you've been watching the show or you've been watching the games part I know people don't do much of is more so highlights. So allow for us to kind of provide the context for you. Why is Alyssa Thomas so great? Yes, you can say, okay, she doesn't always guard people because she's usually playing in passing lanes. That's not true. That's part of what her defense is. But whenever they're playing all-time greats like Asia Wilson, like Nafisa Collier, who's guarding those players? Breanna Stewart. That's Alyssa Thomas.
Every time.
But there's wrinkles to her defense to where she's not only good playing one-on-one. She's also someone that can excel playing off the ball. You can also stash her on literally 1 through 5 and not have to worry about that particular matchup because she's going to do what she does, and that's shut the water off completely. Aaron McDonald did not have a fun game. Now, obviously, it got cut short because of injury, but when she was on the floor, she wasn't having fun because those driving lanes that usually work against most people, and she might think because of the age discrepancy that she has a step on Alyssa. Nah.
All my Arizona friends are saying, AT's got the clamps on her. I'm like, and knew she would.
Correct. We've seen AT step up in that second game against the Dallas Wings.
Yep.
Paige Beckers got everything she wanted the first time they played the Mercury. They go to Dallas. Alyssa's on her. Did not have that much fun at all. You can say the same thing for other guards over the course of this season, where we've seen Alyssa shift all the way up to guarding guards and doing her job as a defensive anchor and taking away the most valuable player to that team's offense. These are things that most players aren't capable or able to do, and definitely not to the extent that she's shown, again, across multiple years, but specifically to this year. Those are MVP and Defensive Player of the Year caliber and level things, and this team is operating in a space to where that attention combined with that respect that she's demanded should start to meet in the middle and result in accolades that I'm sure she probably doesn't care too much about to that extent. But I feel like, and we feel like, she's been deserving of for years now.
Well, I want to play this quick video of DeWanna talking about how AT feels about the MVP race.
I don't know if it's important to her, but she just do this night in and night out, so she deserves this love, she deserves this attention. And it's so crazy because she probably hates it, but it is what it is, you know. She's playing at a high level. I've seen this before. I've seen her play like this before, but to do it here in front of these fans is pretty amazing, pretty special. But I hope she continues to get this same love and support because she deserves it.
Yeah. Like she said, you know, I don't really think she cares, but she knows what she deserves. And to see her finally start getting the little crumbs that she probably deserved, to your point, 5 years ago, is amazing. I think there's still some work to do left on this race. Steven and I got to put our fingers on our keyboards, and we're going to keep it pushing for the next couple weeks. We got a big job to do. But I think the MVP race is open right now, and Alyssa Thomas is right there in the lead, and it's been a really fun race to watch so far. I think it's going to continue to be a fun race to watch. I think it's an interesting race when you look at the statistics of it all, and then Nafisa and the records and all of it. It's just, it's fun. We got a fun season on our hands of the WNBA accolade list. But I definitely think AT right now is definitely the most valuable player to her team. And I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that she's not most valuable to the league especially when, you know, the Lynx are able to win games with or without. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Mercury can't win games without her, especially because during AT's injury, there were other injuries that played. Like, there has just been so much adversity that this Phoenix Mercury team has faced that even if you look at the 5 games that AT didn't play in, it's not really a fair sample size of what this team can actually do with or without her, because the team wasn't full without her. And so it's been a lot of adversity, and AT has made it work, and it's been fun to watch, and I think we're going to continue to have a lot of fun to watch. I kind of joked that we could get 4 in a row, and I don't want to put any type of pressure on AT for that, but I just think that the records are going to keep coming for her, and she's just going to continue to keep impressing people. And honestly, I was so excited to get the ESPN fantasy notification, the ESPN notification, all these notifications to let me know, like, she is the premier player in the WNBA right now. And I don't think that those are notifications I got a week ago upon her first triple-double. So if it took 3, fine, but I'm glad we finally got them. Not even the ESPN notifications or like the whatever publication notifications. It's like people on Twitter that I've not really seen tweet about the W within frequently, but maybe ever. And they're like, wow, Alyssa Thomas is truly special. I can't, like, I'm happy I got, like, watch this, or I'm happy I got to see this, or whatever. So, Eric Ruby was even blessed to be in the building. Like, true. I mean, it's just true. Eric does love the W a little bit, I think, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, and I don't know, just in general, people that don't talk about the W every day, getting exposed to the W is always good. So I would love for all new W supporters that are learning about Alyssa Thomas to have like confessions, like, ooh, to just see, you know, this is my first season watching the W. I did not know how great this Alyssa Thomas is, but
Why is it that I never heard her name to the extent I should have when I knew already who Asia Wilson was, when I knew already who Breanna Stewart was because of the media pubbing? And this player has been playing at the same level as each of these other two players for 5 years now. And why am I just now hearing, like, there's Alyssa, she's literally at that exact same level as both of those two players, and she's been there for quite some time now. Maybe media market plays a role in that. If they were in Boston instead of in Uncasville, maybe that shifts things some, maybe, potentially. But in terms of, again, the things that are in her control, her team's winning at a certain level, her team's making it to the WNBA finals multiple times. She's been there, and she's done all of that. The only thing she hasn't gotten is that ring, which we might be having other conversations about if this team continues to take the steps in the direction that they're headed now while staying fully healthy more than anything else.
I got one more thing to say on this MVP race because y'all already know I scroll my timeline too much, okay? I stay on the internet. I'm chronically online. A lot of people, and Steven already spoke about this, a lot of people peg this team to not only maybe miss the playoffs, but be a bottom seed in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I think, we need to bring something back that at the end of the day, we're talking about the best player. And I see a lot of people talking about, oh, well, Phoenix is in 4th or tied for 3rd, whatever the situation may be. I want to make sure I'm not mistaken before I say this out loud, but the Aces were a 5 seed last year, right?
They were middle of the pack for sure.
They were bottom 4 for certain because they had to play the Lynx, I believe, in the first round. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong. No, they played Storm.
I think they played Seattle, yeah, because the Mercury played.
So maybe they were a 4.
Minnesota. They might have been 3. Let me double check. Go ahead. I
just don't want to be a liar, but
I'll fact check it. I got you.
All I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be the number 1 team in order for you to win the MVP. And I think that that's something that kind of keeps getting brought up. And I definitely, again, understand the argument for the Napheesa Collier MVP. And I'm not saying that Napheesa Collier is not a fantastic freaking basketball player and hasn't been playing like a top 2 player. What I am saying is that I don't believe that the Phoenix Mercury have to be number 1 in the standings in order for her to be in this MVP conversation. And honestly, to even be leading the conversation. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing that point over and over and over be made that, oh, well, the Phoenix Mercury isn't the best team in the league. Dude, they were picked to miss the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And they haven't been at one point even thinking about being in the bottom 4. It's a conversation I can't believe we even have to be having at this point. So I just wanted to bring that up because I am of the belief that last year the best player won the MVP, but was it the best player on the best team? Absolutely not. And so I think that there are some certain, the bar keeps moving, and I don't really appreciate it. To your point, like when it's Alyssa Thomas, the bar just gets higher and higher and higher, and I don't really understand why. When she's been playing at this level for this long, she's been this good, she's been putting her team in position after position after position to win, and yet she needs to be on the number 1 team to be in order to be in the conversation for the MVP. It just doesn't make any sense. So please just make it make sense.
Yeah. To your point, they were number 4 last season. They played the Seattle Storm in the first round and lost in the second round to the eventual champions, New York Liberty.
Oh dang, I was wrong all the way around.
Yeah,
my bad.
Yeah, no, you good. But to your point though, the way that the goalpost shifts and swings and sways and shape shifts and forms into different things,
turns into an oval and closes up.
When it comes to Alyssa, is just not right. It's not fair. Especially if we're talking about earnestly having conversations about the best basketball players in the respective leagues. Be consistent with it. If the bar is this, and you have a player whose team was suggested or told that they would be 7, I think they probably averaged out to being 7th or 6th in most people's preseason power rankings. Again, averaging out. So meaning some people had them at, I think the highest I saw them was maybe 5th.
No, yeah.
5th or 6th, and then most people had them 7th or 8th.
The highest was definitely mine, and I'm delusional, so we can't even take that into account. So, yeah, 5th. And I just think that's crazy when you look at the talent on this roster. But that's not the point.
I respect the unknown part of how trying to figure out roster only has 2 players returning from last season. A ton of newness players new to the league in addition to the team, majority of it being new, a second-year head coach, all of these things, I understand those. But one specific player within all of that, and we're not even talking about the player on the team that's a finals MVP. We're talking about the player that has just been one of the best in the league. Has consistently, that when she's been on the team, that team has always done well and exceeded expectations. This is just another example of that, and a long list of Alyssa Thomas-led teams doing that over the course of her career.
Well, and I like Rob's comment. Even if you like Fee's stat line better, the context of AT doing this with a team and a coach that she hasn't played with before, that gap closes.
You can't compare the two. You literally cannot compare the two. There's not another defensive player of the year candidate on the Phoenix Mercury. Not to slight Nafisa Collier,
right.
But Cheryl Reeve told me and other media members that Atlanta Smith, like Nafisa is a great defender, and this is me quoting Cheryl Reeve. Nafisa Collier is a very good defender, a great defender. Atlanta Smith is our defensive player of the year, our defensive anchor. And that's after Nafisa Collier just got the award. She's telling us that one season removed from that. What are we like? I just don't understand. I don't understand the way people decide to have these conversations. But all in all, I'm just glad that Alyssa's name is starting to pick up more traction with these accolades, because her all-time great status has suggested it for quite some time. Better late than never, but never late is significantly better when we're talking about these things.
I'll say I'm excited because the new fans seem to be really coming around.
Mhm.
And I think
sure.
it's been a fun, to your point, like the confessionals of it all and like the journey of watching people realize just how good she really is has been really fun to watch. So I feel blessed that she was in Phoenix. I was telling Steven literally 2 weeks ago, I had seen 0 triple doubles with my own 2 eyes. Now I seen 2 with my own 2 eyes. And so it just, you can't write history books better than this. Alyssa Thomas is doing it in real time right in front of us. And if you're not like watching live every single night, I don't know what you're doing, because if you don't watch, you're gonna miss more history being made. And so this is her only first season in Phoenix. I don't think it'll be her last season in Phoenix, but it's her only first. And so I think you should really stop, enjoy the talent that is playing out in front of you. Like, people in our comments are talking about championships and MVPs, and you don't realize how blessed you are as basketball fans until it's over. And I mean, you're seeing it in real time with the BG and DT of it all here in Phoenix. Like, you don't realize how great it is until it's over. So I think I hope that people are realizing just how fantastic this is. Before we get into the ad break, I think we should knock out our one-word burns. What do you think?
I'll say real quick, I tried to caution Mercury fans before the season started, because there was a lot of dismay about, oh my God, there's no Diana Taurasi. Oh my God, there's no Brittany Griner.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? This, that, and the third. And I tried to politely caution, like, yes, it's going to look significantly different, but to have the precedence, the bar that's set coming into a franchise without either of those two pillars being around, but having to follow up all of the greatness that those two players had, and in your first season, you're doing these things. If you need more context as to why this is just a special season and why it should be appreciated as such, let that be one way, or one additional way that's maybe not being spoken about that much. That's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure. You got one of the all-time greats and then another all-time great that just left, and you got to come in and accept that challenge, but see it also as an opportunity and then go and execute on a daily basis with it. I would say Mercury fans, again, you all are very spoiled. Most teams don't have this opportunity. Ask the Indiana Fever. Going from everything that was the early and mid-2000s teams that were consistently in the finals, multiple all-time greats, to that lull that they saw up until pretty much the season before last. That's more than likely what was going to happen on the odds. But you're going to get Alyssa Thomas, bridge the gap, and you sustain. It's not even a gap being bridged. It's a sustained level of culture.
To Steven's point, like, I saw the Indiana Fever play basketball 3 years ago for $15 a ticket, and I was row 1 behind the Indiana Fever bench.
They weren't even in the Cambridge Fieldhouse, were they, for that game?
No, it was in Phoenix, but
Okay,
it was, and it might have been only 2 seasons ago. Is when AB was #1 pick, and
Mm-hmm.
I would have sold my soul to see it, and I would do it again. Unfortunately, they lost that game, but I was really excited to see Aaliyah Boston in her rookie season.
For sure.
And she has played out exactly the way, if not even better than I ever could have imagined. But yeah, I want to get these one-word burns because I think that they're going to be good. I think. Obviously, these are a little bit of surprise, Steven and I, so, we're never really sure. Kevin, did you get a word off? Oh, this dude, man. My word is monumental. And that's because, what we're watching right now, build the freaking statue, dude. Like, Alyssa Thomas is her. It is monumental. It is historic. I'll let you get your word off in just a second because I feel like we're going to be saying a lot of the same things here, but it's just what she's doing. Literally nobody else is doing. So build the statue, hang the banner, retire the number, whatever you want to say, build it.
Yeah, I think Candace was the first player to have her number retired with multiple franchises.
I think so.
Obviously, she has to continue it, but her track record precedes her. Alyssa Thomas is going to be joining her relatively soon, and shortly thereafter, she does decide to hang it up, whenever that is. My one-word burn was prolific because people just don't do those things. And not just, again, the individual, her doing what she's shown to always do, but it's also her teammates consistently stepping up in ways that which we saw with those Connecticut teams. Look at that most recent Connecticut team that had went to the finals. They get to a point where their backs are against the wall. Alyssa Thomas is doing MVP caliber things, and you get the stud buzz. But in the Connecticut Sun context, and Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann stepping up in ways that ultimately get them into the finals and then allow for them to kind of tussle back and forth with the Las Vegas Aces within that series as well. That's just a level of greatness that few can reach. It's one thing to be able to control your own will. It's another thing to get the best out of the players around you, especially the role players, not the other star players, but the role players. Alyssa doing these things, very much prolific, one-of-one type of things that she is doing. And it's crazy to be saying that this might be her best basketball that she's played, considering the level that she's been sustaining at for the last 5 years now.
Well, when you think back to the beginning of the season and she talked about being surrounded with shooters, they've made it easy for her. And so, but Steven, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off about this because you said you started talking about the stud buds, and I was just talking with Kevin about this in our little pre-show. What do I got to do to get you to dress up as a stud bud with me for Halloween?
Not happening.
Wow.
I can't. I don't have the aura, the drip, whatever you want to call it, to pull off what either of those two do.
So you wouldn't wear the pink wig?
I think everybody that just heard her ask that question knew what the answer was before she even.
If anyone in the comments would like to be the other half of my first half of the stud buds, please drop a comment below. I've been pondering it now for over a week. I already want the sweatsuit so bad. This gives me a great excuse to spend a ridiculous amount of money on a velvet stud bud sweatsuit.
Call Caitlin Clark.
I don't want her to be my partner. No, I want someone fun. That's why I asked Steven, and he let me down. Kevin said no.
That one ain't for me.
Kevin said
that
absolutely not.
Absolutely not for one, and for two, I already got a costume lined up.
Oh yeah, David's down to be a stud bud. Stud buds found. Okay, perfect. This is great. This is excellent news. My birthday's the day after Halloween, so we're about to have a stud bud party for Halloween, and this is great. Excellent news for me personally. So I might have just broke my laptop doing that, but
hopefully it comes after a championship appearance at the bare minimum.
No, period. And don't let me dressing up as a stud bud get you confused. I'm still a Lynx hater through and through, so don't get it twisted. But I think the stud buds have unlimited amounts of aura, and I mean, I don't.
They're rock stars, both of them.
I'm gonna go to a neighborhood, and then I'm gonna walk around in my pink wig, and then everybody's gonna ask me, who are you? And I'm gonna be like, I'm the stud bud, duh. And then they're going to go home and Google it, and then they're going to watch the WNBA. I'm going to turn viewers out of kids, It's all for the kids, really. When I put it that way, does that make you want to dress up as a stud bud?
No, because they have reach, but I don't think what they're doing is the most conducive for children. I'll say that as kindly as possible.
Yeah, the show this week was a little cuckoo, but we'll leave that at that.
The All-Star Weekend shenanigans were very much PG-13. or rated R.
I was like, what shenanigans were you watching? Because I did not think they were PG.
Yeah, rated
and then
R.
this week they went. I don't know if you can get worse than rated R, but they just David said changing kids' lives. Exactly. Well, we're gonna continue changing your guys' lives and talking about Satou, Kalia, Monica Kolmakani, basically everything that's going good for the Phoenix Mercury right now. After this quick break here on the PHNX Mercury podcast. Steven, do you have a checking account?
Of course.
And I know it's the Mountain America My Style checking account, right?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. That's because Steven wanted the account with the built-in benefits. He enjoys restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. He makes My Style his lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply to be just like Steven. Membership is required. This is insured by NCUA. Based on eligibility, some benefits require no cost registration/activation. Terms and conditions and exclusions do apply. Steven, I know you heard about what I lost, but did I tell you what I found?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't hear about the found part.
I found a new one. Gas card found.
There you go.
Crisis averted. Fuel repurchased.
That's important.
Shout out to Circle K because nobody gets me right like the inner circle. And, I don't mean to, toot my own horn, but I probably go to Circle K more than everybody in this studio combined. With all my drive time to and fro Phoenix and Tucson, like I just spend a lot of time in my car. So I need all the snacks, I need all the fuel, I need all the beveraginos, and Circle K helps me out every single time. And you can be helped out just like me. All you have to do is download the Inner Circle Rewards app, put in your email, phone number. It's super, super easy. You can get 25 cents off a gallon for the first 4 fill-ups, 3 cents a gallon on every fill-up after that, and then you earn your way up into the 5 cent off club just like myself, Steven. I know Kevin's been in it. And you get 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, $1 cookies. Dude, the deals just keep coming, and all you have to do is be a part of the Inner Circle. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Yesterday was a really fun game for a lot of reasons. I could probably sit here and name off a gazillion of them off the top of my head, but I'll be honest, number one for me was that was definitely the most fun I've watched DeWanna Bonner have so far in this, revisit to Phoenix. And she joked about in the post-game press conference, talked about, getting lost in the arena and how different things are. But last night it felt like she felt at home, and it showed on the floor, and it was really fun to watch. That obviously the 10th assist came from a pass to AT to DB for 3, and I mean the crowd just went absolutely ballistic. And I mean, DeWanna talked about it in the post game after, but she's just in a really good headspace here in Phoenix, and she's found happiness in basketball again. And again, it shows. And when you're happy doing your job, it's not really work. And she's just out there having fun playing basketball and trying to win games. And I think that she's really found her role in this 8-man rotation. And, Nate Tibbetts talked a lot about it yesterday about having to cut players out of the rotation, and it stinks. It really does stink. But DeWanna Bonner has filled a really big role for this team and done it really, really well. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, she's really found herself here in Phoenix at this point.
Yeah, in the initial stages when her transition from Indiana to becoming a free agent kind of surfaced, we tried to preface and suggest to understand just how great of a fit DeWanna was going to be for what the Mercury were establishing in a culture in Nate Tibbetts and Kalia Copper's second season together, but also for style of play purposes, for positional purposes, the ways in which DeWanna, an all-time great wing, would fit very much into everything that it is they're looking to do. I mean, we've seen exactly that come to fruition within the first couple of weeks of her becoming a part of the Mercury for the second time in her career, full circle moment. She comes into the team context, and there's hardly any of Kalia Copper and Satou Sabally involved through those first 2 weeks, in addition to I think she had maybe one true practice. Everything else that they had was strictly shoot-arounds, which are you can't even approximate as abbreviated practices because it's just players getting up shots, working on fine-tuning specific things relative to opponents. And there's not really like true team or skill work that's being done in a team environment. Yet and still, she comes in immediately adds value. The team's better with her on the floor defensively per numbers, and the team is better with her on the floor offensively per numbers. Get to the post All-Star break stretch, she's finally starting to spend time on the court at practice and in games with both Kalia Copper and Satou Sabally. And we've seen her be the DeWanna Bonner that's been an all-time great for I don't know how long at this point. One of the key numbers that really stands out when you're talking about DeWanna Bonner with the Phoenix Mercury right now, a team that takes a lot of corner threes. She's one of the better corner three-point shooters in recent history for sure. 43.4%, basically 44% for Alyssa or for DeWanna Bonner. A lot of those passes coming from Alyssa Thomas, but just generally speaking, DeWanna simply added value. High IQ, being a veteran, being a vet that can play multiple roles over the course of a game. You want to play small ball, she can go to 4 or the 5 next to or with Alyssa Thomas. She can do that without Alyssa Thomas on the floor. You need someone that's going to make quick decisions off the ball, to cut, to take advantage of smaller matchups as teams try to figure out how to match up individually with the lineups the Mercury use. She can do all of that. Need somebody that can switch and guard guards at times after guarding a big to start a possession? No problem. Grab rebounds? No problem. Knock down open catch and shoot threes? Knock down contested threes? No problem. She's an elite, all-time great time on tasker. You give her a task, she's going to make sure that it gets done better than you maybe anticipated or expected she would be able to do it at. Adding that to everything that we've already talked about with the Mercury already being a team that is a big three construct, but is very much by committee being comprehensively all of the pieces working together as one. DeWanna simply exudes all of those qualities as an individual that just adds to everything that they've established now.
I think this is a perfect segue to get to the Satou Sabally Spider-Man clip.
What we want to talk about, you had DB talking about how she kind of lost touch with basketball for a while.
I did not, and I don't think I ended up sending that, did I?
We can talk about that part first and then get to. So yesterday, post-game, I wish I remember who asked the question, so forgive me for that, but DeWanna was asked about just kind of basically the full circle moment of playing in front of X Factor again, stemming from the conversations that Erica talked about with her, talking about getting lost in the newness with everything that is the Mercury now, from the practice facility to the way that the arena is set up now. And DeWanna got very candid in speaking to just how she was in a low place for quite some time and how she wasn't really sure if she was going to be able to continue to play. And she had to kind of question whether she could continue to do this. And then she said via conversations with people in her circle, obviously including Alyssa Thomas, they come to the solution that maybe an opportunity elsewhere might better suit her and get her back in alignment with what her love is, which is basketball. And needless to say, everything comes around full circle. She also mentions having conversations and just kind of listening to, I think, speaking with her kids too, and them kind of like asking about basketball and things like that. Gets to Phoenix, or gets back to Phoenix, this time with Alyssa. And I mean, it's been written in history since then. She's been enjoying herself and then some. And I think all of that was kind of encapsulated in last night's win over the Indiana Fever. Obviously, the context matters there with that, but I think more than anything is the way that X Factor rallied behind DeWanna and all of the winning plays that she was making, deflections, steals, rebounds, obviously the points that she scored, knocking down a couple of threes, knocking down the ultimate three, like you mentioned, to give Alyssa yet another triple-double. All of these things just kind of added up to a moment where it felt like the gratitude was really overcoming DeWanna, and it was honestly special, a very candid moment to see, and just really says a lot about where this team is right now.
Yeah, and I think, there were a lot of questions even just a short week ago about the culture here in Phoenix, and I feel like just that one little snippet really, I mean, how can you argue about the culture of the team when DeWanna Bonner, who's the newest player on the team, is speaking about how she was able to find her love for basketball again upon coming here? I mean, it kind of speaks for itself in terms of the team vibes and where everybody's at. And I mean, the team spoke about it in the game on Tuesday. Like, being on the road for 12 days and only seeing each other is really tough. I think about it, if Steven and Kevin and I were the only 3 people to see each other for 100 days in a row, like, I would say by like the 9th day, everybody's ready to kill Erica. By the 12th day, maybe we're all ready to kill Kevin. You know, you never know. But like, I just think by the end of those days, we're all definitely really tired of each other and just need a little second to ourselves. And so I think the same can be said, even if you're a professional basketball player and you're spending 12 days with your teammates and honestly, your coaches. Think about it. When you were in high school, did you want to spend 12 days in a row with your high school English teacher? I'm sure not. They would probably be telling you, please write your papers. What, Kevin?
Honestly, yeah, he was kind of dope.
All right. Well, unless you're Kevin, you
course,
don't.
Kevin.
I know. Oh, my gosh. Oh, sportsman over here. When you were playing sports, would you want to spend 12 days in a row with your coach?
Most of them definitely not. A few odd ones, yes, for sure. But most of them, no.
But those are the odd ones out.
Correct.
Okay.
Majority is no.
Right. And so I just think, I think it's a little fair for by day 12 us to have a little bit of, rocky road on the relationship status. But I think, when you come back home, you win some games, you see your dogs, you get to eat your own food from your own fridge, use your coffee maker, like all these things that you don't even really think about before you go on the road. You miss it. And so you come back home, you drive your own car, you get to practice in your own facility, and then boom, you get to shoot on your own rims. And I mean, we saw Sophie Cunningham put up those threes. We know what it means to know the rims well. So, it's been fun, and DeWanna's had a lot of fun in finding herself, and you can tell. And I mean, when you play read and react basketball, which is what we've talked about them doing for the whole season, and you don't have really a lot of time to practice together, you do depend on having smart players, and DeWanna has proven to be that, but then has also proven to be able to understand where everybody else is going to be and learn quickly, so that while it is read and react, she also knows what's set in stone for them and is able to execute that when asked to do so. So I just think there's not much more you can ask from Glenn, not from Glenn, my bad, Glenn. Not much more you can ask for from DeWanna at this point. 3 weeks into her being here.
I think it's been just a little over a month. That first couple of days was I think she came in and they went on a road trip. Because I remember a handful of her very first games came on that road trip when they were going to Golden State and playing in Minnesota. But generally speaking, yes, you couldn't have asked or drawn up a better kind of hand in glove fit for the Mercury than everything that DeWanna's been for this team. And the lineups and all of the numbers for efficiency to gauge how those lineups have fared when she's been on the court with certain player combinations, they all speak for themselves. And I think they're continuing to learn about those lineups. But even in the early stages with the team fully healthy, the lineups with her as well as Satou Sabally and Alyssa Thomas on the court in multiple iterations have all been almost staples for the team the past couple of days. So I'm looking forward to how they develop. But generally speaking, the signing of DeWanna Bonner was an A+ for culture purposes, for on the court purposes, for just player character purposes. You have someone that's been an all-time great, that's a multi-time champion. You can never do wrong adding someone with those prerequisites to everything that you're establishing. So DeWanna Bonner is one of one.
Satou Sabally.
We can go ahead and pull that graphic up, Kevo. So obviously with Satou, she had the 1 game absence with the team. After the game against Atlanta last Friday, she was excused from being with the team for a day or so, handling things off the court per Nate Tibbetts. And she came back with the team after the team won to conclude that 5-game road trip in Chicago. And she was at practice the following day. I think it was Tuesday or Monday, excuse me. And then they get to the game on Tuesday, and Satou misses 1 shot through 3 quarters and some change. And then ultimately finishes that game playing at a certain level that is akin to where they expected for her to be and where they kind of have a bar for her to be performing at. And I think there's no better example of a little bit of adversity off the court in whatever capacity it was. Information we're not privy to, so I'm not doing any reporting and I'm not going to speculate because that's not my business. She had something going on. The team acknowledged it, allowed for her to have time to herself to tend to whatever the situation was. Comes back And Satou speaks to in postgame after Tuesday's win over the Connecticut Sun, that first opportunity to experience the familial bond of the culture that they've been establishing, that they've been speaking about, but there's a literal contextual moment to speak to in that. And so here's Satou speaking to how she appreciated that moment and how it kind of opened her eyes to new things.
Yeah, I think I really got to experience the family culture here, and I felt like I had just tremendous support along some like just rough days, and I think it's just going beyond the game where you can trust people off the court and that will translate on the court. So I just really felt like sheltered in a way today, and I just really loved that and appreciate that.
You talk about culture, you talk about person to person relationships. Those things often get kind of condensed to on the court, but those things are very much bigger than basketball. You can't say that you value individuals if you don't allow for individuals to actually be human beings and not be at their best for whatever reason. Maybe it's injury, maybe it's stuff going on with off the court, whatever. You can't say that you value those things if you're not allowing humans to simply be humans. And that's a little bit of what DeWanna Bonner kind of spoke to in her refinding herself through basketball with the Mercury. And then obviously even more so with Satou and everything that she was kind of going through that kind of low stretch. For her to get back and to immediately look like the version of Satou that was voted an all-star. Immediately, like it wasn't a one game, she's building herself back up.
It wasn't even a quarter.
It wasn't even a quarter. She immediately comes back.
That first quarter,
she scores
was
the first points of
hot.
the game, and she knocks down a couple shots after that. And
give a little extra to the crowd, and hey, y'all, I'm back. My bad on that.
Exactly. Those things you don't stumble into, and those things also just simply don't happen by happenstance if those things that you always speak to aren't being tended to on a daily basis. That's a culture. You don't get that performance from Satou the last two games without what's being established on a daily basis. So that's definitely a cosign to everything that Nate Tibbetts and Kalia Copper have been intentional about establishing in this new era of Mercury basketball.
Well, and what have we talked about? One of the main benefits to being in Phoenix or New York or Vegas or even Minnesota to certain extents or Seattle, you only have to worry about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in life, things happen, and unfortunately, other worries occur. And so, you know, for the Phoenix Mercury to step up and say, look, we understand that you're worried about something else right now. Go worry about that. And when you're ready to focus on basketball again, come back and your spot is saved. You're good to go. I mean, that speaks volumes of where the team is at inside of the locker room. So I laugh at Holmes's comments because he's absolutely correct. People thought Satou was going to be traded. Everyone was playing it off like they didn't want her, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, she comes back and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Satou's the best thing since sliced bread again. So I'm just, it's another case of the bar moving because it's Phoenix Mercury, but you know, what do I know about that? But yeah, it's just been really fun to watch. Satou has been playing her rear end off. And when everybody is getting to that level that we talked about the top 15 players at the beginning of the season, top 25, I guess.
Yeah,
and,
3. And
I believe both of us maybe listed DeWanna Bonner in the top 25. I could be wrong about that. We might have to go back and rewatch the video, but I'm pretty sure. So that means that we got 4 now. So everything is good here in Phoenix, and I get a little frustrated with the people that think otherwise. And everyone is getting to we've talked about all the players that are rhythm players here in Phoenix, and everyone's returning to that. Their true form, if you will, just in time. There's 14 games left in the season. They're tied for 3rd right now. They still have some wiggle room to move up. Like, people are not talking about the fact that they could still move. So, you know, Satou has been really, really great. And to watch her come back after that and not have any type of buffer time, I mean, it incited all the confidence I needed that this team is right where it needs to be in a timely fashion. You know, when they went on that 7-game win streak, I won't lie, I got a little nervous. I was like, oh man, is the team peaking too early? Like, crap, man, this could, I don't know. But again, when things like that happen and Satou steps away for a game and then comes back, and again, there's no buffer really at all. What concern could you possibly have?
Yeah, Satou's kind of uniquely placed with this team. She has obviously experience. compared to the multitude of rookies that are in the main rotation for the team. She's also not the vet that Kalia is, or that AT or DeWanna or Sammy is. Satou's kind of like the middle child in a sense, where she kind of can identify maybe more with the younger players than anyone else, but also is very much on the veteran side of things in terms of games played and years spent in the season and playoff experience as well. But what's been cool to kind of see develop you can kind of see it establishing in the practice situations where you see interactions with players and coaches and things like that. But it's been fun to see the way that DeWanna's added value, like we spoke to prior to the Satou Sabally conversation we're having, and how they've kind of shared a bond, and got to ask them a little bit about how they've seen similarities in one another kind of add into everything lineup-wise and identity-wise that Nate Tibbetts is working to establish with this team, with DeWanna being in the mix. And here's what DeWanna had to say, and Satou had a little bit to chip in with as well on the post-game from Tuesday. Are y'all familiar with the Spider-Man meme? Like where Spider-Man is pointing? Yeah. So I'm asking because it seems like y'all are very interchangeable in the kind of sets and actions that y'all run. And like he just asked you about AT throwing you vertical spacing passes. Satou, you get him the same. How do you kind of see that like helping just to keep a level of play or a style of play across multiple lineups?
Oh, definitely. It's funny because we laugh all the time. Like these last couple games, we've been trying to figure out like who's the 3, who's the 4, you know, like on offense and defense. And I think, like I said, like that type of stuff, it matters. Like I said, that road trip has been helping us, you know, figure out where we can play together. And it's kind of been fun. We always laugh and joke about it, especially on the court. And she's like walking up to me like, "You got this person." I'm like, "No, you got this person." So, but just trying to figure it all out. And I love playing with Satou. I think she's a great player, and we got a lot of similarities. So I try to give her little bones that I do on offense to help her, and vice versa. Yeah.
So those lineups that we continue to kind of speak to, they come in multiple iterations, and that speaks to the versatility of the roster that the Mercury have. But in the lineups that have DeWanna and Satou with Alyssa Thomas, in 49 minutes that they've compiled, they have a 110.8 offensive rating, basically a 111 offensive rating if you round it up. That would be the best in the W. When those 3 players on the court, they're operating at a level that's the best in the W on offense. Defensively, operating at a level that will be second in the W this season. Combine it, they're operating as one of the best lineups in the W. Small sample size, only 49 games because of variant health, but these are the lineups that Nate is working through multiple iterations with. The more they play, the better the team gets, the better those lineups get. And I think that familiarity, but that also kind of respect and reverence that they share between each other, it really kind of comes out when they're on the court together because, like DeWanna said, they argue about who's guarding who all the time because it simply just doesn't matter because they can all go about doing the job and doing so effectively and efficiently for the team on both ends of the floor. So that just speaks to the versatility point, and that's going to be something that really helps the Mercury down the line, especially when they get into potential second-round series with the likes of a New York or a Minnesota.
Yeah. And when you're able to beat teams in different ways, which this team has proven to do, and to your point, in only 49 minutes, that's sample size, right? Like, and I mean, to Nate's point yesterday, I feel like those minutes are going to probably increase quite a bit here over these last 14 games, considering the fact that he's kind of cut the rotation minutes down for everybody beyond the top 8. And so, yeah, those two on the court together are one of the best tandems right now in the W. And then when you add Kalia into the mix, and again, to our points, like Kalia has been playing really, really well, but I still think she's got a little bit of ways. And I mean, we even said that last season that she still wasn't maybe at her peak of her career yet. And so, you know, as she's coming back from this injury, she's going to return to the, you know, style of play that she had last season. And the options are going to be borderline limitless for this Phoenix Mercury team.
Yeah, that's the hard part about having a lot of talent. You have to try to condense it in some capacity, but also figure out which pieces work best together.
Yeah.
There's no real wrong answer in terms of lineup options that Nate can go to, but you want to press the right buttons and know when to press those buttons.
Yep.
That's the part of coaching through a season, 44 games now, that matters most right now. He's trying to get the absolute most out of this time where the team is fully healthy, because you never know when injury is going to come knocking at the door again.
Yep.
You don't want to have not learned as much as you possibly could about the roster that you're coaching, and not pulling those strings in those moments where you're fully healthy. So they're doing a great job with that as individual players. Definitely room for improvement with Kalia. She's still playing well. I still think there's opportunity for her and Satou to kind of find their rhythm again with one another being on the court at the same time. And Kevo, we could go ahead and get the clip up of Nate. I asked Nate after Tuesday's win over Connecticut about kind of the usage of Satou and Kalia together in lineups, and here's what Nate had to say.
Yeah, I think I keep saying it. I think we're just still continuing to evolve offensively. Playing with a traditional five, having AT and Satou next to each other, DB next to AT. It's going to create space and hopefully problems for the other team. And both those two are good cutters. And again, what we just talked about with DB, hopefully they're seeing, I think they are seeing the advantages that you can create for screening for one another.
Yeah, so again, Nate trying to figure out how to feature all of these top end talents in unison with one another, because that's going to be where this team is at their best. They can operate independent of each other, but if they can figure out how to kind of make it one kind of lineup and doing things together and with the synergy, it shifts things. And we're starting to see them screening more for each other, screening for each other on the ball, but also doing more so off the ball and kind of taking those matchups that usually switch and flipping that into an advantage, whether that be Kalia just driving by someone that was bigger that was guarding Satou, or Satou walking someone that was guarding Kalia down to the post and then doing this and all of the too small references as she embraces the unicorn nature of her game. There's a lot for them to get into with that. They're just scratching the surface on the potential there. But like Nate said, they're kind of actualizing and applying, seeing like, okay, this is something that can work for us as an additional layer to everything that is us talking about Alyssa and Sammy having that synergy, whether that be screening for one another, dribble handoffs, obviously AT and DeWanna, all of these kind of two-player synergies all baked into one main rotation with 8 players. They got a lot working for themselves and in their favor right now.
Man, all this, and we still haven't even brought up Monique Kakomakani, who, I mean, we spent a lot of time on Mo in the last episode, so go back and watch that. But I did want to mention this really, really quick because I saw this stat, and I do feel like it's actually kind of insane because Mo is playing in her first season in the WNBA, and she is one of 2 players in the league right now shooting at a 45-40-90 split. The other player is JC Sheldon, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm 99.999% sure that Mo is doing on probably a lot higher of a volume. And so, I mean, Monique, Nate talked about how important she is for the team last night, and last night I felt like was one of the games that you could just watch and see exactly how important she was, because you watch her and AT in tandem together often are, oh, are you going to be the one to make the decision on what to do? Or, oh, it's me this time? Okay, no problem. And I mean, I'm going to say it. When Alyssa Thomas trusts you to be the decision maker on the offensive side of the ball, what more confidence do you need to be incited within you to be able to know that you are very capable of doing your job out there? Mo has proven to be just that. She does exactly what the team needs at all times. I think I don't know how to look this up, so I'm sorry if I'm stupid, but I think she took 3 offensive fouls yesterday, if I'm not wrong.
She drew multiple charges, yep.
It was definitely 2, but I could be wrong about the 3rd. But they came at, opportune times, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I thought that Indiana was going to stomp back at any point during the game, but they did get within 8 a couple times, and so it wasn't that it was a complete blowout the whole game, and Monique's stops came at opportune times that stops needed to happen. And to my point earlier in the show, it doesn't really matter if they're up 25 with 10, 15 minutes to go, because they know that they're playing for the long term. So they want to get out there and still be competitive on the ball, regardless of what the score is, because they know their time on the floor right now is limited for these last 14 games.
Yeah, everything has a multiplier to it as you grow closer and closer to the finish line of the regular season, which is then the start of the real season, which is the playoffs. Using all of these 44 games to compile as much data, build as much chemistry and synergy up with your teammates as you can, figure out what works and what doesn't work against different styles of opponents. And then the real season starts where you apply all of those lessons and kind of information that you gathered and learned over the course of the season. They're in a place where they're doing exactly that right now. And I think one of the louder things, as we see Home S mentioning the defense shifting, you don't get to this shift without Monica Cole-McConaughey being directly and heavily involved. I asked Alyssa Thomas about how she sees the value she adds to defense with her point of attack. And she said Monique has the potential to be a defensive team representative at some point in her career. It's not easy to do, especially considering the guard defenders that are in the W right now. Players like Gabby Williams, players like Brittany Sykes, all other types of Veronica Burtons all over the entire W right now. It's not an easy crop of guards to be competing with, but she's very much in the thick of that conversation with those players because she does her job so well. We talked about at the top of the show, Alyssa being able to shift up to guards. I think that's important because if Alyssa is guarding a point guard, that means that you're putting Monique on. So let's just take the Minnesota Lynx as a thought exercise. So yes, the Minnesota Lynx are very hard to match up with. Obviously, the Mercury don't play it on the rest of the regular season. Take the context we see last night, apply it to that matchup with the Lynx. Just think about this for a minute. Can Alyssa Thomas guard Courtney Williams? Yes. If the way that Nate can manipulate matchups with the lineups he's using, if another thorn in the side, Kayla McBride, is now being smothered and guarded and chased around all type of screens by Monica Cole-McConaughey, that hits different. In addition,
it makes the Minnesota Lynx life really, really difficult.
Correct. In addition to that, if Alyssa is guarding Courtney Williams, one of the highest volume pick and roll handlers in the W, or dribble handoff handlers in the W, both of those two, who's guarding the Fisa Collier? That could be Natasha Mack. That could be Kat Westbeld. That could be DeWanna Bonner. That could be Satou Sabally. Any one of those four players, if those two players run the most actions together, that's automatically a switch. What advantage have you created?
None.
There's no pocket pass for Courtney Williams to make because she's going from having Alyssa Thomas hounding her to any one of those four front court pieces that I spoke to. Now with Mac, you could say, yeah, Courtney could attack her one-on-one after that switch. That's a lot of length to deal with. Yep. And Mac has been playing very well defensively for this team the last 4 weeks of the season. These are the wrinkles that we're speaking about with the versatility and the options that Nate has in his lineup because of the roster that they have right now. I think there's a lot more growth for them with the kind of matchup manipulation that we saw, like we talked about with AT also being able to guard someone like Paige Beckers and things like that. Flipping those advantage-creating actions that teams like to get into switches and just being able to use AT for the all-time great that she is, it changes a lot. But hidden in all of that, AT is at the front facing of it. Hidden within all of that, though, is the value that Monica Cole-McConaughey adds because AT can't viably do those things if there's not someone else that can take on those other matchups. And I think that adds another layer to what's the third best defense in the W right now.
Well, two things that I must get to today. First and foremost.
Oh, yeah. We got a big game coming up on Sunday.
We do. And I'm going to get back to that in just a second. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. This coming Wednesday.
Yep.
And before I lie on the date, August the 13th. Mm-hmm. There's an event at the Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Mm-hmm. I expect all of you to have entered in to win meet and greet with Phoenix Mercury players. And I'm not going to give any hints here because that's not what I do here on the show. I either reveal or I don't. And I'm heavy on the don't today. But you can enter to win this contest, do a little meet and greet with the squad, and word on the street, there's going to be some pretty cool hosts to this event. So I think you should tap in with the contest. I'm going to be putting out some tweets later today from the PHNX_Mercury account, and as well as my personal Erica Lee Day. So you can hit either of those places up. I'll tell you how to enter the contest. I've actually told like literally everybody in the comments, I'm like, have you entered this contest? Have you entered? Because if you haven't, you're going to miss out. And I don't want you to miss out. In fact, I really, really, really want you to be there. So I'm going to be sure to post that link later today. And like I said, it's August the 13th. I think it's at 5 p.m. Could be super wrong about the time. We'll get back to you. Don't worry. There's going to be a show before then anyways, so don't you even stress about that. The other thing, August 22nd versus the Golden State Valkyries. And listen, I've been talking about what a great home atmosphere that they have built in less than one season in Golden State. And props to them. I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them. I'm stoked even for them. I want to compete. I want to have my own little personal Valhalla here in Phoenix. And so as we have our Die Hard takeover here on August 22nd versus the Golden State Valkyries, I expect all of you to be there. We're going to be thunder stickering. We're going to be barking. We're going to be having some beveraginos, having some $2 Matt Ishbia hot dogs. Basically, the vibes are going to be so up that I cannot hold myself back anymore. You must come to this event. If you aren't there, you are a square. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. You can buy tickets at the first link down in the description. I believe it's gophnx.com/events. Am I right about that, Kevo? He doesn't know. He said, I'm not sure. I'm going to go with yes. I do believe I'm right on that. gophnx.com/events.
Either way, you'll see it on Twitter later on today.
You most certainly will. And so you better buy them
about
tickets.
it again on Monday.
And maybe
that is the correct link.
Period. Look at that. So yeah, go to that link, buy your tickets, and be there or be square. And I won't be mad if you're a square. It's just what you are. So, anyways, we got one little last conversation to have about a Sunday versus Atlanta, and then I got really something funny, and then we'll close out. Sunday versus Atlanta, Phoenix Mercury have now lost 2 games versus Atlanta this season. Both tough losses, ugly to watch. Not fun for us. I'm sure not fun for them. I'm going to ask you, what do you think the keys are? And I know you're going to talk about those Sunday mornings, so I best believe be tapped into the PHNX_Mercury on Twitter because Steven shares them literally before every single game. What do you think the keys are to this game turning out to be a Mercury victory versus the other 2 games that turned out to be kind of big losses?
Yeah, the first one is taking away the 3-point line, which they've done in each game since the last time they played Atlanta. I think they gave up 5 3-point makes to the Sky, and then maybe 7 to Connecticut, and then 7 to last night against Indiana. They've been significantly shifting the defense to, for one, take care of the primary matchups, whoever it is that has the ball, but then being so good with that they're able to stay out of making full rotations defensively, which allows for everybody else to kind of stay closer to shooters, which means that you're seeing less open 3-point shoot opportunities created from opponents. That's important because the Atlanta Dream have snipers galore. Spearheading all of that because Ryan Howard has been out lately. It's been Big Al, Alicia Gray. She knocked down 4 in the last time they played against each other. So being so good with your defense to where you can stay home on shooters and not have to rotate off of them. Step 1. Step 2, taking care of the basketball. When the Mercury take care of the ball, we talked about that record a couple of weeks ago. They barely lose games when they take care of the basketball.
I think 10-1 is what the record we talked about then. Yeah,
Correct.
I mean,
correct.
Yep.
And then the last one is continuing to sustain on the defensive end. So you talk about being able to stay home on shooters because the person on the ball is taking care of that matchup, sustaining that across multiple possessions. Last night was another example of when the Mercury are playing in transition off of stops and steals, and you see Alyssa Thomas's bun bouncing in the wind time after time after time. That means that the team is in a great place. Also, whenever they're forcing teams to play late in the shot clock, and you start hearing the music from Jaws playing dun dun, and it starts picking up the beat quicker and quicker, teams are in trouble. And that's where they put them. That's where they really kind of put pressure on opponents. So being able to take care of those 3 things in succession with possessions is going to be where it lies. You have to out-execute this Atlanta team because they don't typically beat themselves.
5 3-pointers versus Chicago, 5 3-pointers versus Connecticut, and 7 versus the Indiana Fever. And
5 to Sophie herself.
Yeah, and to your point, Homes, I agree, yes, terrible, but the Indiana Fever shot 23.3% from 3. Like, I can't be mad at that performance. And like, to my earlier point, like, these are Sophie's home rims, dude. Like, I felt like she was probably going to do something fun, and she did exactly that. So no one was really surprised about that. I was just satisfied that Aerie didn't do the same thing that she did in the last game, to be honest with you. And as an Arizona fan, it pains me just as much as you might think to say that out loud.
Yeah. To that point, 22.7% for opponents on threes the last 3 games.
Yeah.
That's the Mercury defense that's been one of the best in the W. So getting back in alignment there, but sustaining it against a higher level opponent. No slights on any of the 3 teams that the Mercury have played the last 3 games, and you have to handle your business based off of the opponents in front of you. But Now it's time to do it against those teams that are on that
Big
same
dogs.
level as you,
Yep.
which is a literal team that if you win, you don't get the tiebreaker, but you do move ahead of them in the standings.
Yep.
And that's important also because the team that's ahead of both of them in the standings right now, the New York Liberty, number 2 in the WNBA right now. Over this upcoming weekend, they play today against the Dallas Wings on the road, and then they play Sunday at home against the Minnesota Lynx. So 2 games that, depending on what's going on with Paige, I think we just got an update on her injury earlier today. I don't know if she's playing
Last
yet.
I knew she was questionable. Questionable yesterday.
Okay. So those are games that they could potentially lose, and they've been a little bit more vulnerable.
Yep.
If the Mercury handle their business on Sunday, we could be talking about a team that's in second place.
Back in second place. Yep.
Back in second place on Monday, come Monday's episode. So handle your business. Do those things on defense first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Allow for your defense to help take care of your offense. Your offense has been no issue.
Yep.
And you'll be right back where you should be based off of the level of play that your team's been at. So you think they winning on
I'm
Sunday?
taking a Mercury dub. I'm bringing back the purple Thunder Sticks. These were my just to clarify, everybody, these are my Alyssa Thomas Thunder Sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Orange for AT, purple for the victories.
Okay.
So
Purple purple for 4 or more.
Is that fair? I just felt like 3 really deserved some boom boom clap. You know what I'm saying?
Three
3 consecutive triple doubles. Like I had to do something.
Deserved it. Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I had to bring them out.
Context matters. You make exceptions for greatness, and that's one of them.
History,
Correct.
it's tough.
Mm-hmm. So what's the score? What you got
Crap.
prediction-wise?
I'm gonna go. What was the score last night? Let me see. Yeah, 89-79. I think it's a 10-point victory. Mercury favor.
89-79.
Yeah.
So last 2 games, Mercury scored 72 and 79, or 79 and then 72 respectively. Atlanta scored 90 and then 95 in those 2 games. So nice little scoreboard difference there. I think they meet in the middle somewhere. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a game that goes into the clutch. The Mercury win it 86-82.
Ooh, a fun, exciting game on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes, one of those game of the year type of atmospheres.
Love.
The Mercury are gonna be looking to get their lick back because they know that they've come up short multiple times against this team in particular.
Yep.
Curious if Brittany Griner will be available. She missed her last game with the neck injury.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ryan Howard's still been out. Don't know when she's planning on or when they can expect for her to be back, but regardless of whether those 2 are available or not, we know that this Atlanta team is going to be hard to beat. You have to out-execute them. So I got 84, I think I said 84-80 or 86-82. 86-82 Mercury on Sunday.
Well, I do have one last thing for us, and it's just a little fun picture, and I saw it, and I sent it in the Die Hard Discord lounge, so if you're not in there, get in there, dude. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But this picture of Nate Tibbetts behind AT and Kalia, I mean, that's an evil man right there. And then look at this. Oh! For those that can't see, Alyssa Thomas and Kalia Copper are swarming Sophie Cunningham. Get the jump ball, and Nate Tibbetts is standing behind them like Emperor Palpatine, just so proud of himself for getting this squad where they need to be. And look at it. I mean, that is where they need to be. I mean, I said it yesterday. I want this picture tattooed on my forehead. Like, that's art. Put that in a loop. You know what I'm saying?
It is. That's because I try to mention to people, Nate gets a lot of attention for offense, but he is a guy that identifies with the defense more than the offense. Can coach offense and obviously has helped to do so well, obviously with Chrissy Tolliver and tandem.
Yep.
But the defense is where he pushes more of his eggs into the basket with. Nothing excites him as much as defense does, and getting stops and forcing jump balls, especially against Sophie after all of the terror that she was kind of causing over the course of that game.
Clap yourself home, girl. My bad. Sorry about that. That was the only thing I needed to say.
Very much a context matters moment. Yeah, she was doing a little bit too much.
Too much.
Kyle checked her on it.
And Kyle's face is crazy.
Kyle checked her on it, as she has never hesitated to do before, as she should have as a franchise player too.
She should have done it earlier if I'm being for real. But can I ask you one question? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to fight one player on the Phoenix Mercury, who would you choose and why? Because I'm not choosing DeWanna Bonner. I don't know who I would choose, but I'm not choosing DeWanna Bonner.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that girl would eat me alive for everything I'm worth. I was watching last night, and with Lexi trying to mess to her, I'm like, you're choosing the wrong one, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you see Lexi held over there? I feel like that's maybe more your speed, girl. Because picking a fight with DeWanna Bonner is certainly a choice.
Well, my thing is, there's not one weak link on the Mercury in terms of you looking up and down the roster and saying, oh, I would love to have smoke with this person. I don't think there's an option that's viable there. And that speaks to, again, the roster that they built. Tons of fight from individuals. You bring it all together, and it makes for one of the most scrappy teams in the W.
Yeah, I just was thinking about that last night.
Yeah.
I had to ask you because I just, for one person is for, honestly, you could say anything for the Fantastic Four, as I saw our comments belovingly called them. But I mean, oh my gosh, DeWanna Bonner, I'm not picking no fight with her. Not verbal, not physical, not mental, not basketball, football, baseball. Leave me out of it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, barking up the wrong tree on that one, but appreciate you adding fuel to that fire there.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Lexi, if you're watching this, thank you for that. That was very polite of you to give me that well-rounded joy. And honestly, without those barks early in the game, who knows if we'd be having the third consecutive triple-double, if I would have got to bring out the Thunder Sticks, So everything happens for a reason. But
last thing I'll say, are you ready for a first-round Mercury Fever series?
I'm going to be honest with you.
The correct answer is no.
I don't want it.
It's gonna be something. I'll say that, but
I don't want it at all. For my own personal motives and reasons, but above all else, and I'll be just blunt with you, like I really don't want to watch my team squabble Arie McDonald in the first round of the playoffs. That's not fair to me.
Yeah,
I've worked hard, and I had. If you know me personally, you know how I have felt about the coaching of the Atlanta Dream during Arie's tenure there, and then she went to the Sparks, and what happened with
what that was.
So I'm so happy for her that she's found a home, and like I would really hate. I would rather see it in the second round, and obviously that makes it a little more difficult to achieve, but I would rather see it in the second round, so at least she gets to win a playoff series, and I hate being a homer like that, but it's just, man, I don't want my squad to have to bounce her in round one. That's tough.
It feels very poetic basketball-wise.
It does. It
to
does.
have seen what we saw last night,
yeah,
and the stars aligned for both teams to match up in the first round, and we're talking about putting the best basketball product on the court. There's natural smoke that exists between both teams. The theatrics will be there. The backline, the story will be there. I think the result's going to look similar to what it looked like last season when the Fever went up against Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner in the first round. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun for the potential short term that it lasts for. But yeah, just want to start preparing people mentally for what might end up being a first round series.
Home S is right.
Seeing
AT 30, 15, 10.
A whole lot of what we saw last night on the playoff stage potentially. So
30, 15, and 10 in first round at Cambridge, they say.
I believe it.
Bark, bark, bark. It came back just for you guys. All right. Well, we've had a great show today. I've had a lot of fun. It's been a fun week on Planet Mercury, and it's going to continue to be fun on Sunday when they go take on the Atlanta Dream here back in Phoenix. I think it's the last game of their.
I think they have one more game after
4-game home stretch. Yep. So 2 more games to go at home, but Steven and I will be back on your beloved screens on Monday at 5:30 p.m. So be there, honestly. All the places I've said to be there or be square.
We'll have 2 podcasts before their next game on Monday because they have a nice little 6 days off or 5 days off.
Oh, period.
After Sunday, they don't play again until Friday, and they'll be at home against the Las Vegas Aces, who have been playing some better basketball of late. If you exclude Saturday's whatever you want to call it, because that wasn't basketball. I don't know what sport we was watching, but they've been playing significantly better outside of that game in particular. So got a nice little stretch of downtime where you can kind of reassess. You can continue to push the Alyssa Thomas MVP and DPOY stuff, and it'll be fun. They need to make sure they get a win in this game because they built up this momentum from the last time that they played Atlanta. Make it all count and take it for another bigger step in the right direction, and potentially leap to number 2 again in the W.
Well, shout out to all of you guys for being in the chat with us on this fine Friday morning. Be sure to leave a like on this podcast, 5-star review wherever you listen, and then be sure to subscribe to PHNX Sports while you're at it. Follow me on Twitter at Eric Lee Day. You can follow him at StephenPG3. You can follow Kevin, our wonderful producer, at Kevo Post. He's also going to be literally live in an hour and a half doing an Arizona Wildcats show. Word on the street, he might mention Ari McDonald a time or two. And then obviously the last thing, follow all of us together at PHNX_Mercury on Twitter, where we're getting off some really quality content these days. So I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot toot. So follow us all over there, and we will be back with you guys on Monday at 5:30 p.m.
We all silly like the mayor.